Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for my first YouTube video. So I have spoken a little bit about this on my Instagram page, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about mental health and to open up the conversation around mental health. So today I am going to talk through anxiety. So this is the first part of my mental health series that I'll be doing for YouTube. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with anxiety, some of the things that I have done throughout my journey to learn kind of more about anxiety and what it means for me and what it really is. So looking back in my life, I have probably had anxiety for much longer than I would say I've been diagnosed for. So I kind of didn't really know what anxiety was, or I didn't really understand what that meant for me until I was kind of at a university age, kind of 19, 20 maybe, before I even really understood what it meant for me. But looking back, I definitely had anxiety way before that. I was dealing with a lot of things kind of in my school age. I thought that it was just stress, but looking back at it, I'm almost 100% certain it was anxiety. My journey with anxiety, kind of, or my understanding of anxiety, came when I was at university. I was studying a lot, I was doing a lot of things, but I also was kind of got to the point where my the situations that I was in, where I was kind of so overwhelmed with my anxious thoughts that I was unable to go out a lot of the time without kind of having a panic attack, or without feeling physically sick or actually being physically sick, which is obviously horrible. And I should say as well that anxiety is a lot of different things. So you may have a panic disorder, OCD is a form of anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, also a form of anxiety. And the real difference, I think, especially for me, that I've been able to see throughout my journey has been the physical impact of anxiety rather than the mental impact. So yes, we all have anxious thoughts, and anxious thoughts are what create this physical reaction in your body. So it's kind of it's like an intense stress on the body, and the body's reaction is automatically to kind of build up this stress reaction. So ultimately, when I get anxiety, or when I get a really serious case of my anxiety come through, it can make me physically sick, and that's happened multiple times. And panic disorder, so I used to have a lot of panic attacks kind of regularly on nights out, on kind of days when I was full of stress with lots of exams, and I had like 30 things on my to-do list. So yeah, panic disorder is one of those things as well, and a panic attack is a really it's a huge sign of anxiety. And but some people who have anxiety also will never experience a panic attack. So for me, it's more than just overthinking. It's kind of my brain being in constant overdrive, and that can be for days, for weeks, for months if it's left untended. And everybody's experience of mental health and anxiety will be different. So obviously what I'm talking about now is kind of my own experience of it and how I have seen it kind of manifest in me. And obviously everybody's experience of that will be different. Often one of the big anxieties for me comes from me worrying about what people think of me. So going on nights out and things like that, I get like serious anxiety in advance of those, even though I know I'm probably gonna have a good time, and my rational mind says, hey, everybody, all of these people are all your friends, they love you and care about you. But there's almost that kind of niggling thought that constantly saying, oh, but what if, or what if this happens, or what if this happens. So that's kind of how anxiety looks to me, but obviously everybody's experience of that will be different. So it took me a long time to, you know, kind of almost accept that I had anxiety. I knew that I was stressed. I knew that I had a lot of kind of stress and tension and anxious thoughts, and I was constantly worrying about things that a lot of other people weren't worrying about. But, you know, with the support of my family and friends, I was able to go and get help for my anxiety. And I've seen a number of therapists. I've seen 3, 4, maybe even 5 therapists for different kind of types of anxiety. You know, and it took me a long time, maybe 3 years, before I found the right treatment for me and the right therapist for me. So I would just say as well, if you're in that situation now, you're kind of a bit worried that you may have anxiety and you are looking for somebody to support you, and you're looking for a therapist or you're looking for the right treatment, I would just say keep going. You know, that support can come differently to everybody as well, in the same way that anxiety looks different to everybody, and there's lots of different options, and it's just about kind of figuring out which one is the most useful to you. And like I said, I kind of went through probably 5 therapists before I found the right one, so I would just say kind of keep sticking at it, keep going, and you will find the right amount and the right kind of support as well. So I had a few questions come to me as well when I asked about this topic on my Instagram, and the first one is, what tips do you have for somebody who is struggling with anxiety? And I'd say the first thing I would say is definitely don't ignore it. It's been proven that these anxious thoughts, if they're left unattended, just get worse over time. So, you know, even if the thing that helps you is to write it down or to speak to a family or friend, just do that. So I would definitely say if you can, then be open with your family and friends. I know some people that don't want to do that and don't ever speak about it with their family and friends, but they do find comfort in other places, so kind of with professionals or people that they trust to have those conversations with. So try to open up to it with somebody, whoever that person is that makes you comfortable doing so. So make sure that you're using all of the resources that are out there already. There's loads of charities that are already putting resources in place and have dedicated phone lines that you can reach out to, text messaging systems, all sorts of things, and they also have so much information on their websites. So some of the ones that I've used before, kind of Mind is a great charity, really extensive resources on their website. Anxiety UK is also a really good resource. Obviously, being a anxiety-based charity, they have a lot of specific resources for people suffering with anxiety, so definitely check them out. Also other charities like No Panic. So No Panic deals with things like OCD, panic disorders and things like that. So if you're struggling in those areas, definitely check them out. And also other charities like Rethink, Calm. I'll put all of the links to these in the description below, and also donate to them if you can. Obviously it's a difficult time for charities at the moment, and these are super important charities, so definitely check them out and donate to them too. Learning mindfulness techniques and breathing techniques are really important. So one of the things that happens often with an anxiety attack or a panic attack is that you kind of lose control of your breathing, and it can be very scary. So learning to control your breathing and to control your mind essentially is such an important thing for anxiety. And I know that mindfulness or breathing techniques are not the kind of answer to this issue or the cure, but they can be something that you can utilize to kind of make it easier and to really work on yourself, even if you don't have an anxiety condition. And the next question is, how do I support my friends and family if I think that they have anxiety or are going through anxiety? Obviously this can be really difficult. It's really hard to watch somebody that you love or care about go through something so difficult. So firstly, just give them space to talk about it. Make sure that you're open to speaking to them. Make it clear to them that you're there if they need to speak to you, and they will definitely appreciate that. If you go online, you can also kind of find out what kind of things you should and shouldn't say to people with anxiety. So there's a lot of things that, you know, you definitely shouldn't be saying to people with anxiety. Basically anything that feels kind of belittling or you're lessening the issue that they're having can be really negative and have a really negative impact. It can mean that they might not go to see somebody professional, or they may not get the help that they really need, and leaving it to fester in that way can just kind of make it worse over time as well. And talking about seeking help, you know, just support them if they want to seek help. So the best thing to do is kind of you know, you can encourage, you can say, hey, do you think you would like to go and get help? And you can support them through that journey, and you can even go with them if they ask you to their GP or to see the therapist for the first time. And you can even go to speak to a GP, or you can speak to a dedicated therapist service about how you can help. And obviously there's loads of resources online, even for people that are just supporting others with anxiety and mental health issues. So Mind has a really great kind of family and friends section in all of their descriptive areas of their website. So if you go into their website, click on kind of anxiety, and then it will tell you exactly how to speak to somebody with anxiety, how to support their journey, and you know, it just gives you some tips to feel more comfortable. And finally, I would just say to both people with anxiety and to people who are supporting those with anxiety, it's so important to put yourself first. If you're not putting yourself first and you're not in a good place, then it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to support other people or to help yourself get better. So thank you so much for joining me on this first part of my mental health series, part 1 for anxiety. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know if there's any more questions that you have about anxiety or how to get help. I will link below some of the resources that I've used, and let me know if there's anything else that you want to talk about, any other mental health issues or anything else mental health related that you would like me to speak about, and I will kind of try to talk about that in one of my next videos.